everybody. Welcome back to the lockdown sessions. We're going to have to get a new name here pretty quick because we're starting to get unlocked down in the world, which is great. I've been looking forward to the day that we get a new name. But we are brought to you, as always, by our good friends in London, Wrestle Merch Central. They are your headquarters for all things professional wrestling in the United Kingdom and Europe. And actually check our store out there. We got a bunch of wrestling travel merch. Please check it out and support them. But support my next guest. I'm really excited. From Ring of Honor, Mr. O'Shea Edwards is joining us today. O'Shea, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, man? I appreciate you having me.
I appreciate you spending some time with us. Now, I wanted to start at the beginning because I do my journalistic integrity brings me to Wikipedia and YouTube more than anything. But I want to find out, how long have you been in the business and where did you train?
I've been in the business since about 2015. I initially started training with Johnny Swinger to kind of get my, my informal introduction, I should say. Right. Well, it wasn't until about maybe about 6 months in, I got an invite to actually go train with Robert Gibson, and it was there where I really started to put stuff together. With Johnny's blessing, he was like, I can only teach you so much, but Robert's going to be the one to really fill in those blanks to really get you where you need to be. Once Johnny realized okay, he's taking this very, very seriously. So for me, it wasn't just something I was going to turn into a hobby. For me, I'm like, if I'm going to be good at something, if I'm going to train something, I want to be the best, at least the best that I can possibly be at it. So, and if I'm going to be the best at it, sometimes you have to get trained by, multiples of people, and you have to, train with the best.
Now, I know that you went to school, you played football at Georgia. You grew up in Georgia as well?
Yeah, I was born in New York, but I was raised in Atlanta, so I kind of have the best of both worlds, all that good stuff. So yeah, even though my birth certificate says New York, my Southern accent, my Southern slang comes out more often than most. So when I tell people we're from New York, everybody's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Yeah, man, yeah, I am."
So did you grow up? Family grew up watching pro wrestling?
Not really. When my dad was a kid, him and my grandfather, they watched wrestling, but I kind of came across it really by happenstance. I started watching wrestling younger. I think right around the time that Monday Night Raw just started to come on TV. Was when I really started to notice what wrestling was. Usually you had wrestling coming on Saturday afternoons, around 12 o'clock, right after cartoons went off the air.
Yeah.
So usually once cartoons went off, it's some channels had Soul Train, some channels you had WCW. But I never really got into it at that point. It wasn't until Monday Night Raw came that I really started to pay attention to what was happening. I started getting involved, and I think it's the first time I saw a Big Boss Man on TV. I was like, "Yo, what is this? Who are these people?" And then from there, kind of turned into its own little thing. And as I got older, my fandom went off and on, but I always still watched. I always still kept up with everything and maintained a general fandom of what was happening.
Right, and I think everybody I talk to, and myself included, we all do that. I was fans as a kid, or no matter where you start, but there's always that falling off period where you kind of start doing it. Usually about the time we discover girls for us younger ones.
Pretty much so with wrestling.
Yeah. So tell me, so you played offensive line. Am I accurate at Georgia?
Yeah. I was in high school as an offensive lineman. And in college, I kind of got moved around from, around the offensive line. I wasn't the biggest guy, but I was fast. And the whole thing was, at the time I might have been the strongest guy, but in the first 5 yards, man, I was gonna eat that ass alive. I was gonna be all over you. It was fun. I always say that being an offensive lineman outside of the quarterback, your offense, those five guys across the front are the smartest guys on the field. They know, just with exception of uh, with the exception of of pass routes. These guys know where the running back's going, who's blocking who. They know the audible calls. They know what the defense is showing. They know the blitz. Usually they're listening out for the center who's going to call out whatever adjustments to make on the fly, any blocking patterns you can make on the fly. And then even when the play is snapped, you still have to have your head on a swivel. I tell people all the time, even though the camera doesn't really look at them until like somebody like gets a flag on them or something like that. I tell them to it's a war, it's an individual battle going across those front five. It's never the first move that wins. It's never the second move that wins. It's usually that third, fourth, or sometimes fifth move that really dictate who wins that battle. And usually once that battle's done, you got to reset and you got to do it all over again. And you do that for 4 quarters. And so after a while, man, you have to really start getting creative about, you have to assert yourself when you're an offensive lineman. Brother, I only got so many moves, and eventually you're going to see them all. So I have to beat you down to the point that no matter what move I throw at you, you can't beat me.
I've always said in that line of scrimmage, I played defensive line Division III, not even close to what you were playing, but there's more athleticism happening between your opponent right across the line than there is, like the wide receivers and quarterbacks. You're stretching everything down the field. And for the most part, unless it's a run, everything's happening in this little zone here between everybody. So there's a lot happening in a short space, which I think, like you say, when you start taking a look, when NFL Film starts doing those slowdown Sports Illustrated movies, they did in the 90s, everything's happening right there.
It's like I said, it's offensive linemen, and even for the most part, some defensive linemen, they don't get a lot of you don't get a lot of ink. There's no stats for offensive linemen other than like pancake blocks, and they just started recording that. But there's no stats for just, without coming off too cliche, there's no stat for heart. There's no stat for tenacity. Man, there's no stat for just sheer what I call bulldoggery, where you have that one offensive lineman who is just wearing this guy out, and there's no stat for it. That's why when you see offensive linemen get picked up in the first round, man, that guy's good. Guy's for him to get picked in the first round, especially like in the top 15. Yeah, that guy's really good.
And you hit on it with heart, because I've seen some awful big guys that I'm like, man, if I could put this small guy's heart in that big guy.
First rounder. First rounder.
All world. And you know what? The other stat they don't keep? Every time I see you offensive linemen, you guys are with a beautiful girl. They all have pretty girlfriends, these big hogs.
Man, hey, man, I tell people all the time, man, hey, abs are great. Abs look awesome, everything, man. But at late at night, what's the first thing people want to cuddle up to? At the big boy. Everybody wants to cuddle up to the big boy.
There it is. Yeah, I played with some ugly dudes, and I'm like, what? Wait a minute.
Pulling them.
Yeah, how in the heck is that girl? But good for you. So
because we eat good, man. We eat good, and so they know they can pick off the play.
They're usually tiny, and maybe that's it. They're hoping for some scraps. So yeah,
they're just like, oh, what are you eating? Steak? Can I have some? And of course, for teddy bears, you're like, yeah, come on, come get some.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now this is gonna be a taboo question. You're gonna want to slap me, but I gotta ask. Before you got into training with Johnny Swinger and kind of got back into wrestling, were you aware of the legacy of Robert Gibson? Or
I was, but not to the extent that I know now. I knew of him, but by the time like I really started getting into wrestling, like Robert Gibson wasn't really within the realm that I watched wrestling. But as I got older, of course, you start to understand. Like before I even stepped in, I knew who Robert Gibson was. Like it wasn't anything that was lost on me. But as I was growing up, I can like no, I just didn't. Like I said at the time, it was before my time and all that good stuff. But like I said, as I was into wrestling and as soon as hey, who Robert Gibson was, like, yeah, I know who he is. I'm the type of guy, once I get into something, once I'm really passionate about something, I read up on everything that I can. And I go down that rabbit hole and it just turns, you go down one street, you hang a hard right and you're somewhere else, and you hang a hard left and you're somewhere else, and before you know it, you don't know how you got where you are, but it's like, well, here I am, and it's no big deal. So like before I do anything, stuff like that, like, yeah, I always make sure I look people up, and I do my proper research, because I don't want to come in and look at dumb. So before they reached out to me, I already knew who Robert Gibson was. But as younger in my fandom, of course, I didn't, just because at that point in time, I'm stuck on Nitro, I'm stuck on Monday Night Raw, and unfortunately, he wasn't really on TV that much for me to really understand what he brought prior to all of this. Like without him, without the Rock and Roll Express and all those guys, like there's no us. Like there's definitely no me. So you give respect where respect's due on that one.
I got the really cool opportunity to talk with Nikita Koloff, and just those crowds back in the 80s that him and Ivan drew with Ricky and Robert. I mean, you throw them on YouTube or wherever they have them now, that those crowds are awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Speaking of crowds, as I jump around in my little interview scheme here, you guys at Ring of Honor are getting ready to welcome back the crowds. Why? I mean, I think I know your feelings, but tell me your feelings about that.
Man, it's awesome. I was actually talking to somebody about like having crowds come back and like for sports actually earlier today, and I'm like, you don't realize what you take for granted until like it's taken away from you. And it's one of those things where my running joke is one of the best things about wrestling are like the crowds and the fans. And sometimes the worst things about wrestling sometimes are the crowds and the fans. But man, when they're not, the first time I did a show and they weren't there, it was, for a moment you're like, oh snap, this is wild. Nobody's here. I'm having, and you're still having to, we're professionals, so you still kind of, do the job that you've been contracted to do. But with Ring of Honor, we built such a atmosphere. We built such an ambiance. We've spent the money to upgrade everything. And we were like, if we have to spend the next year and a half and we can't have crowds and we can't do this and we can't do that, well, one monkey doesn't stop a show. So we're going to keep pushing ahead, and we're going to put out the best product that we can with what we are allowed to do. And honestly, without the crowd, it made everyone step their game up so much. There's so many wrestlers in and out of Ring of Honor that a year and a half ago aren't the same people that they are now, because they elevated themselves and they stepped their game up because they had to. The crowds aren't here anymore. So now we have to find another way to interact and to connect with people. And to me, Ring of Honor nailed it. Since the end of 2020, once we realized, hey, you know what, we're going to come back at the end of the year. We're going to start taping. We'll start doing this. We'll start doing that. Man, it was just on it. And I feel it, and call me a homer. Maybe I'm biased, whatever. But I feel as if Ring of Honor has put themselves in a position for best in the world in July in UMBC, in Baltimore. Like, they're going to pop because of, look at the work that they've put in at this point, I'm past 7-8 months without the crowd.
And look at what we put out in that span of time without the crowd. And look at the response that we have gotten from it without the crowd. So imagine if we're doing all of this without a crowd, without, that, as I call it, without that six man, coming
Right.
off the bench. Imagine what happens when all of a sudden we can put that six man back in the bench, and now look what happens. Look what we've done. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited about what we're going to put together. I'm really excited what we're going to put out. I'm really excited about what is to come for Ring of Honor and wrestling as a whole. I'm a big advocate of a high tide raises all ships. So like I pay attention to everybody because for me, I'm like, why would I want to root against someone else if they do something and it works? Guess what that means for the rest of us? We can do this now. So I'm excited for it. I'm really hyped for it. I'm really hyped to get that, to hear him pop again, man. I've been working really hard. I got something to show everybody.
One of the greatest compliments I can give you guys is you are one of the pro wrestling shows that I turn on, and some of them I will turn on, and the first thing I notice is that absence of that crowd. But Ring of Honor is one of the few where it's like, after a while, you're like, oh, there's nobody there. I've been so into the action and following the psychology and storylines that you guys have that it's almost like that app. Not that I can't wait for crowds to come back, but it's like, man, this has got me hook, line, and sinker in. And now I'm just realizing there's no crowds. Now you add that extra dimension. And I've had a couple times, good friend of the show, the Monster PCO on, and realizing that you guys, when I see you guys, hey, we're going into the bubble there in Baltimore. Hey, we're getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and your match might be at 10 a.m. Now you've got no crowd, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning, which is, I don't care who you are, that's a different feel.
It sure is. It sure is.
How is that?
It's I like it. Like,
yeah.
Even though, the crowd isn't there, and it takes a little bit to get used to. Man, I know when I get up and I got to go downstairs and they pick me up and they take me to the arena, man, I know, cool, man, I got an hour or so. I'm going to go wrestle, and then when I'm done, I'm getting back in that shuttle. I'm going back to the hotel. I'm chilling for the rest of the day. So, it's one of those things where, like, man, maybe me wrestling at 10 o'clock isn't so bad.
Well, you know what? Like you said, you go in and you get your work done. You're obviously ready for work. You go get it done, and then you've kind of earned that relaxed time again. So,
Right. Now I get to eat, which is really what I want to do.
Yeah. Do you find yourself now, with the absence of fan, do you get more interactive than on social media with the fans, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. I'm social by nature. Wrestling notwithstanding, I'm just a social type guy. So within reason, I like to get engaged with people because that's why we're doing this. We do this for the engagement, and without the fans, to an extent, you have to kind of overcompensate just a little bit, because you can tell where the winds are blowing. And while in person is what we ultimately like and what we're used to, everybody can't be at the arena. So, okay, we bring in a few thousand people to the arena, and that's awesome. Well, a few thousand is great, but I'm after the few 100,000. And then once I get the few 100,000, I'm after the few million. And, I want more. Because ego be damned. I want everybody. I want all eyes on me. I want everyone looking. I want everyone seeing what I can do. Because for me, is when I wrestle, I'm wrestling for me. I don't wrestle for the fans. I wrestle for me. I tell people all the time that when the bell rings and I'm on, man, that is a level of freedom that no one can really understand. That is I'm at my what I call my peak happiness. Is when the bell rings and you are paying your money to witness me at my peak happiness. You are paying your money to come along for the ride that I've created, whether you like it or not. You're coming along. So for some, the having the fans was kind of a I don't want to say culture shock, but kind of a change. For me, it was just a Tuesday. I'm like,
Right.
oh, they're not here. That's fine, man. Nothing's going to change. I'm going to keep doing what I was doing because it worked when they were here. I know it works when they're not here. And when they get back, guess what? Still going to work.
And some of us on the independents have been, performing in front of empty arenas long before the pandemic. So.
Right. I'm like, me performing in front of nobody, man. That's nothing new for me.
Yeah, that's the thing I like. When you're social on social media with the fans, it can be that double-edged sword too. Like when you said the best thing, the worst thing, you can have some cool interactions. I know there's a lot of fans that are very respectful and appreciative of that. But then of course you've got the guys that got to tear it up on the keyboard because they can't tear it up anywhere else.
That's right, man.
So if you're watching this and you want to interact with somebody, please do it with respect because we're all.
And that's all we all ask. Like, I tell people, hey, tweet as if your mom was looking over your shoulder. Come on.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I won't get into it because it's heavy, but I see so many wrestlers on there going, man, I can't believe I got tweeted this or Facebook that, and it's just out of control. So we're back on here. Tell me, so I want to be respectful of your time. A couple more questions, O'Shea. We're getting ready for the return of fans and Best in the World Ring of Honor coming up. One thing I want to mention before, and not that I would ever forget it because it's always in the back of my mind, but the Honor Club. So I don't care where you are in the world. Actually, I'll preface that because I'm not sure. But if you're in the UK, you're in the US, you got to get the Honor Club because you're talking about not only what you guys are doing now is fantastic. You'll get the free episode of what's current, but you can go back. And the history of Ring of Honor is, it tells a whole story of its own. Everybody who's anybody came from Ring of Honor. Or at least stop by for at least a cup of coffee. What is that like for you to be in, on a roster? There's such history with Ring of Honor. How much does that mean to you?
Man, it's humbling. I've talked a lot of crap on Twitter. I ran my mouth quite a bit about wanting to be here. And for me, I put it out in the universe because if I wanted to make sure that the only option I had was success. Like if I didn't make the roster, nothing else was going to be. I didn't want a silver medal. It was going to be gold or bust, man. This is where I want to be. And I always said like getting here was easy. This was the easy part. Staying, however, well, that's where the work begins. Because to me, there's been a lot of people who've been in a Ring of Honor ring. There's been more people who've been in here once and then never been seen again, and then claim, "Oh yeah, I've been on Ring of Honor." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I don't want to be that guy." I want to be the guy that's just like, "No, man, he just wasn't there. He was there." So to see my name on the roster, to be in a locker room with those guys, all those like just people who I used to watch a few years prior, is unreal. And getting a chance to talk to them, not as if we are, young boy and vet, it's just like coworkers. Man, it's something I. Like, honestly, like 6 years ago, I call you a liar. It's like, man. He's like, hey, man, 6 years. 6 years from now,
you're going to be like sharing a ring with like, Jonathan Gresham and Jay Lethal and PCO and the Briscoes and all that good stuff. I'm like, man, get out of here, man. You're just a liar. I don't appreciate you wasting my time like that. But to see it and it's tangible, so I can, in a sense, I can kind of like touch it. Man, it's awesome. But I'm not done. The work's never done. There's so much more that I have to accomplish. There's so much more that I have to do. I tell people all the time, there's so many more people I have to prove wrong. Getting here just wasn't the goal. Me getting here was expected. Me staying here, however, that's the trick.
Right. And you kind of hit something right on the head there. I'm talking about all the legends in the past, but the handful of names that you just named right now, PCO, Jonathan Gresham, pound for pound, one of the best in the world.
Best wrestler in the world. Best wrestler in the world.
Jay Lethal's no slouch either, but you've got legends and future, Ring of Honor Hall of Famers, if not bigger Hall of Famers working with you right now. That's got to feel cool. Now, a normal guy running a podcast or an interview show goes to journalism school. I've just been another guy who's been in the ring on the indies, just trying to make wrestling travel during this time of no travel, trying to have a fun show with everybody. So a normal guy with journalistic integrity has these little ways he can weave into the story and get something really good out of you. Here's how I'm going to do it. This 99%, I fall flat on my face with this question, but instead of working my way to try to, you got a really cool story that's going to be a hook that somebody's going to want to listen to this. If I say, man, I talked to O'Shea Edwards and he had this crazy road story. So it's kind of putting you on the spot. Do you have any great road story, anything that you can share with us? Of course, we don't want to incriminate anybody. we want to, and that usually throws the stories out right there.
No, you're good, man. Actually, I got one from this last weekend.
All right, fantastic.
Great. So last weekend, I'm in Augusta, Georgia for Intense Wrestling Entertainment, cheap plug. And so it's intermission. Everybody's out trying to make a little bit of money. No big deal. Georgia's been open up a little bit, but we're all staying safe and do whatever. So this guy who's obviously a little inebriated, and he comes up to the guy next to me, and he's like, "Hey, I'd like to buy a shirt, but I don't have any cash." And the guy's like, "Hey, no big deal. I have Venmo, whatever, da 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 da." And he was like, "Well, how much is it?" He goes, $5. No, I'm sorry. He goes, $20. He goes, "Well, I don't have $20. Now I got $500." And when he said it, I kind of looked and go, "Huh?" But it's just whatever. Okay. And so guy was like, "Well, can I give you $500 for a T-shirt?" And I perk up because this conversation's happening like almost like right next to me. And I'm like, no, like this conversation can't. Like if someone else would have told the story, I would have called, like I said, I would have called you a liar. The fact that happened right in front of me, I can't make it up. So the guy goes, "Yeah, $500. You pay $500 for a T-shirt." The guy's like, "Yeah, man, I'll give you $500 for a T-shirt." Once again, this guy is out of his mind blitzed. So guy pulls up his Venmo and he's like, "Yeah, I have all this money in it." And he types in $500. And, he goes, "Hey, man, just put your information in. I don't really know how to do it right now." So the other guy looks at me and he goes, "Hey, Shay, man, grab security just in case this dude's like, full of shit." I'm like, "All right, no problem." So I grab security and they come over. And as soon as they come over, my man looks at security and goes, "Nah, man, I ain't going to need you. We're going to be fine." So he's like, "Hey, Shay, can you watch this real quick? I got to grab my phone. I need to make sure this went through." Guy grabs his phone, comes back. Sure enough, he shows it to me. $500 in his bank account. And the guy goes, "So what size shirt do you want?" He goes, "I just want that yellow extra large T-shirt." And he reaches in, gives him a T-shirt. And when he walks away, he just looks at me and goes, "Did this guy just give me $500 for one extra large Gildan T-shirt?" And I just sat there with my mouth open like an idiot, just going, "Yeah, he sure did. This guy is going to be sick to his stomach on Sunday." And he goes, "Well, he's not getting it back because I just deposited to my bank account."
Oh,
And the running joke was just like anytime he ever asked for something, the running joke was, "Yeah, man, sure, I got you. It's gonna be $500."
that's insane.
To
Oh,
this day, 500. Wow, $500 for a T-shirt. Can't believe it.
and he
Can't
couldn't
believe
even
it.
buy one from you for 25 bucks sitting next door, huh?
Brother, I was right next to him.
Yeah,
I was right next to him. I was like, "Yo, let's start spreading that around there,
yeah,
Chief."
man. 250 right here, and I'll sign it.
Right here,
You
man,
know.
brother. I'll give you two. I'll give you 2 for 1 for 250, man.
Um, last kind of question here, and it's more of a statement. I just wanted you, Ring of Honor. Everybody that I've been so gracious, Ring of Honor has let me talk to. But the kind of the running theme is there that they really took care of you guys during this time. A lot better than a lot of other promotions did. And they really erred on the side of safety, not just for you guys, the talent and everybody working behind the scenes, but the fans. And I know you said, "Hey, I've been trying to get to this point of Ring of Honor," but now that you're at Ring of Honor, it's a place that you wanted to be. And now during this pandemic time, because that had to suck for you going really when you finally are making it somewhere, and then this global pandemic hits, and now you're going just like everybody else in the world. But now what's going to happen? But the fact that your company, Ring of Honor, has stepped up and taken care of you. I mean, how much extra special does that mean to you?
Man, it's great, man. Like we all understand what this is, and it's business, and we all get it. It is what it is. But the fact that they've gone through what they've done for us, and it's consistent. It wasn't just a one and done. It was consistent. They did this every single time. It lets you know where you stand. It lets you know what they're willing to do, and when a company's willing to take care of you to an extent like that, you want to make sure that you're at your best. Because it could be anybody, but they chose you to bring you in, do this. They're doing this for you. They're doing all this for you. So when you come out there and fans, no fans, and the bell rings, you want to make sure that you're at your top. You want to make sure you're on your A game every single time, because if they're willing to do this for you, that means they see something in you. They believe in you, and you don't want to, you're not trying to prove anybody wrong. It's like, nope, there's a reason why they believe in me. There's a reason why I'm here. Let me show them, just in case somebody forgot. Like, let me show you why I'm here. And it feels good, man. It feels good that in a time of uncertainty, that at least for a little bit, you don't have to worry about it anymore.
That's awesome. Now I got to get this travel question in, because we are wrestling travel. Have you ever gotten the opportunity to wrestle over in the United Kingdom yet?
No, but that is something I think prior to the pandemic, I got in contact with a few places. We were looking at like 2 to 3 weeks in June of last year, but obviously that didn't happen. It's on my very short bucket list of things to do in my career before I decide to hang it up, whatever that is. But it's something I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. I've traveled there before, just as vacation. But it's something I want to go back in a business capacity and really show them what's up.
Fantastic. I know a lot of promoters and everything in the UK. So when I share that with them, I'll make sure that your email ring. I was gonna say your phone rings off the hook, but your email goes off the hook. Hopefully that you can do that.
Sounds good. I'm open to it.
I know I keep saying final question. One last one before I get into my final question. You're talking about before you hang up the boots. Now this is always a tough question to answer, because you're gonna leave somebody off this list.
Of course.
You're going to, and then you're going to feel terrible. But before it's all said and done, is there somebody you'd like to just get in the ring with? Kind of a bucket list, 1 or 2 guys, and it can be somebody on the indies. It could be anybody, wrestling on television anywhere. But do you have a 1 or 2 guys that you're like, man, I haven't been in the ring with them before it's all said and done. I would love to tear it up in the ring with person X, Y, or Z.
Yo, yeah, man, look, who doesn't? Who doesn't have those guys? Um, I have there. I'll give you three.
All right.
I'll give you two that can't. I'll give you two that can happen, and then one that's more of an outside shot. We'll see what happens. One is JTG. I would love to wrestle him. Like I've seen him down in Texas, and down in Florida. We've had a few chats here and there, and it's been something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and have a real good time. With that. There's like I said, because no matter what, you always leave somebody.
Yeah,
You always
yeah,
leave somebody.
somebody's gonna call you up after this. Be all
Yeah,
pissed off.
what the hell, bro?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, man. Like, even though I'm not a deathmatch guy, I would love to wrestle Nick Gage. I don't know
Really?
why.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a deathmatch guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going through light tubes, but I'd wrestle him. You know what I'm saying? I'd wrestle him in a heartbeat. But my outside shot, that all like the planets have to align. I would love to be in the ring with Keith Lee.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Not very often am I in the ring with someone who's not only bigger than me but stronger than me, and for the most part a little faster than me. So it really has to it'll really test the metal quite well. And I would really, yeah. That's I tell you, I got the ring with Keith Lee the next day. I'll take it to the house. Like, all right, I'm good. Yeah, y'all ain't got nothing on me now.
He seems like such a good dude too.
Yeah,
Seems like such a good dude. Okay, final question, O'Shea Edwards. First of all, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you and everybody from Ring of Honor that's able to make this happen for us at Wrestling Travel. We love your product. We love the roster. We love supporting everything. So I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate it. Final question is, please, for everybody that's watching, plug everything. Well, Ring of Honor, please get on the Honor Club, but plug everything we got. O'Shea Edwards, social media, places where the fans can go, merchandise, etc.
Yeah. First of all, definitely Honor Club. Like I said, come get these episodes, man. Come get these. The free views of the pay-per-views, and especially those. Even though they're only putting the 2 hours up on Fight, but they're filming 3, and that first hour always goes up on the Honor Club. But as of me, man, you can find me on Twitter. Like I said, it's at Big Back. Big Back Kaiju, all one word. Instagram, same thing. Big Back Kaiju, but a period after every word. For merch wise, man, it's whatamaneuver.net. You can search up O'Shea Edwards. I have a bunch of shirts on there, man, and it's more than just shirts, man. They do t-shirts, hoodies, long sleeve shirts, baseball tees. If you got kids, man, they got onesies. Get one of them too. So that's usually where I'll put a lot of my stuff, especially some of the old designs, or even there's a few new designs that I don't that I just kind of keep them as like online exclusive, all that good stuff, man. They're good people, great great quality products. Like it's the new level shirts, so like they don't just like feel like you're wearing like a paper towel, of some other shirts. Yeah, man, like that's usually where you can find me. I tell people all the time, you can find me on Facebook. I'm not going to add you. Sorry, but it's not gonna
And I believe all of your shirts are currently under $500 at this time.
Yes.
On sale right now.
Under $500. Well, and it's a special going on. So all shirts are like $25. So we're marking them down, trying to move them.
Awesome. O'Shea, thank you so much, buddy. I hope to see you again real soon, and best of luck to you, and have a great summer.
Thanks, man. You too. Appreciate you.